to our presentation, Construction Industry Outlook and Top Concerns, presented by Allen Gibson Hulick, LC. My name is Emily Yunke, and I will be your facilitator today. Before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to our speakers. Our first speaker today is Eric Thummel. Eric leads AGH's construction team, which is a group of AGH professionals that spend a significant part of their time focused on understanding and serving construction entities. He provides individual and trust tax services to clients in the construction, agribusiness, and manufacturing industries. Eric is a certified public accountant who is the current president of the Greater Wichita Area chapter of the Construction Financial Management Association. He is also a member of the Agribusiness Council of Wichita, the Kansas Society of Certified Public Accountants, and the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Our second speaker today is Carrie Wiegand. Carrie is a Senior Organizational Development Consultant for AGH Employer Solutions Organizational Development and Family Business Services Group. She has experience in a variety of human resource functions, including a solid knowledge of labor laws, compensation structures, employee classification, benefits administration, performance management, and human resource best practices. She has served clients in a number of industries, including manufacturing and construction companies. Our final speaker today is Brian Johnson. Brian is a technology executive and consultant with more than 30 years of experience. He has extensive expertise in IT risk advisory services and has earned the Certified Information Systems Auditor credential, as well as additional certifications in operations management, systems engineering, and solution development. I'll hand it over to Eric to start the presentation.
Hi everyone, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to our presentation. We wanted to record in advance so you could listen to it on your own time and forward it along to others as you see fit. As our host mentioned, my name is Eric Thummel, and I'm the head of the construction team here at AGH. AGH conducted a construction industry survey in late November of 2015 that asked participants to rate their top areas of concern going into 2016. We gave them different areas to rate on a scale that ranged from unconcerned to very concerned. We did receive responses from local construction leaders, but not as many as we would have liked. However, we do still believe from those responses and from our industry research that the areas of concern we identified on the survey are relevant to the industry. So we thought we'd go ahead and talk about some of those concerns and then highlight a couple of areas in particular where we believe AGH can add some relevant insight. To back up for a moment, the good news is that there's a lot of good indicators for construction this year. The latest Construction Confidence Index from Associated Builders and Contractors indicates sales will continue to expand and profit margins will continue to widen. This is in line with what we're currently hearing from our clients. Most have very strong backlogs and had a great 2015. Additionally, the Association of General Contractors of America believes that we will see even more work this year than last year. Still, there are some significant concerns and challenges. From what we've seen, some of the top concerns for the construction industry include skilled labor, recruitment, and retention, both local and national economic conditions, IT and cybersecurity, potential Fair Labor Standards Act, overtime pay changes, and Affordable Care Act compliance. Skilled labor, retention, and recruitment appears to be the top concern amongst construction and manufacturing companies right now. With the number of baby boomers retiring and vacating skilled labor positions, in addition to a lower number of younger generations actively pursuing careers in areas like construction, there just aren't enough qualified candidates to fill all of the open positions. In fact, all of the respondents to the AGC's 2015 National Workforce Survey indicated that trouble filling positions was their #1 workforce challenge. This is a great problem to have and better than the problems of 6 or 7 years ago. But unfortunately, the recession displaced some of the skilled labor workforce, and those who left have not returned to the construction industry, which is compounding the problem we have today. Additionally, while it may not appear to be as much of a hot topic in the construction industry, with the increasing threat each year and the potential devastating effects of cybercrimes for all organizations, we believe it would be remiss for construction companies to let this fall off of their radar. According to Tech Insider, nearly 300 million records were leaked and $1 billion was stolen due to cyber attacks in 2015. And while construction firms don't tend to show up often in news as targets, no organization is immune. It's important to remember that as third-party cyber criminals got hacked through their systems to get into their client systems. Interestingly, when Target was breached in 2013, the hackers were able to gain access through an HVAC company that was working for them. These types of attempts still occur today. At this point, I'll hand it over to Carrie Wiegand, AGH's Senior Organizational Development Consultant, to offer some more thoughts on skilled labor recruitment and retention in the coming year.
Thanks, Eric. I'm going to talk at a high level on things companies can do to attract and retain the skilled labor that is in such high demand. 3 areas that you can do that are by creating employee engagement through company culture, on-the-job training and education programs, and community outreach. When jobs are scarce, employees take a job, any job, and hang on to it, even if they don't enjoy the job or the company environment. When jobs are abundant, job seekers can be much more selective in the job they take and choose to stay in. When we look at skilled labor, this is where we are today. Jobs are abundant in areas of skilled labor because the labor pool for these jobs is limited. That means as an employer, you have to create a culture in which employees want to work for you and stay working for you. Because if you don't, they'll leave and go elsewhere. When skills are in demand and employees have multiple job opportunities, it's not just about earning a paycheck, it's about finding a place where they enjoy working and that fits with their values. As an employer, you have to identify your employee value proposition and be able to sell that to your employees, both your current and prospective employees. An employee value proposition includes the tangibles and intangibles that you offer them. It's what your employees get, and that includes things like a paycheck and health insurance, but it's also the things that you can't see, but that you take away at the end of the workday. For example, a sense of purpose in building something of value, or a feeling of belonging to a team or a great company. Companies that know their employee value proposition and include that with their culture and those other intangibles are able to communicate it, and it becomes a recruiting and retention tool. It allows employees to connect to the company, to feel that they are doing something that makes a difference and that they can be proud of. When you're clear in your culture, it's easier to hire employees who will fit with the company. The best companies are very clear in that culture that they have and what it takes to succeed in the company. And it's not just skills they're looking for. When you're clear in your culture, you can hire for attitude and character and train for the needed skills for the job. More and more research points to this strategy as being more successful. Character doesn't tend to change over time, but skills can certainly be learned or developed. On-the-job training or development programs can be a highly effective way of retaining good employees. Employees recognize the investment that the company is making in them, and that can lead to increased loyalty to the company. In addition, when the company provides training, you have the advantage of training these employees in the way you want your employees to work. You as the employer benefit by having the employees trained in the skills that are needed, and the employee will be grateful and loyal to your company in the process. And finally, another area where we have to make some progress is through community outreach. Construction companies have to effectively engage the community in partnering with local schools and educational institutions to build the skills that are needed in this industry, combining education and work experience in a work-based learning model. We've seen how this has been successful in the manufacturing industry, and it could be an effective model for the construction industry as well, and I know they're starting to make some inroads there. One important aspect of this community outreach is to communicate how important and rewarding a career in construction can be. Not everyone gets to literally build the future, but construction companies do. For some time, working in construction hasn't been seen as the most desirable job or industry, but the reality is that many can find a very successful and lucrative career by taking that technical route that doesn't involve a traditional college education. And they're much less likely to start their careers with student loan debt when they do that. But this isn't the message that we tend to hear or what's been communicated, so we've got to start young with those people. Waiting until high school is too late. There's an opportunity to engage middle and even elementary school students, and maybe more importantly their parents, to demonstrate that there are great career opportunities in construction. You have a tough path ahead of you, But with that comes great opportunity to become an employer of choice as you shape and build your workforce. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brian Johnson, Vice President of Technology Services, to discuss cybersecurity.
Thanks, Carrie, and thanks to those of you who participated in our survey. Cybersecurity risk is an important issue. It affects all of us, regardless of our industry sector, and that includes the construction industry, especially given the competitive nature of your business and, in some instances, how you connect to your customers. So, what can you do to better manage your cybersecurity risk? Where do you start? My advice is to change your perspective, to think differently about cybersecurity risk. And the best place to start is with leadership. Your leadership must be consistently aware of and asking questions about your business's cybersecurity risk. Cybersecurity risk is business risk. And to effectively address that risk, you need commitment and involvement at the top. Now, does that involvement require your leadership to have deep technical expertise? No, it doesn't. But they do need to understand the type and nature of your risks. And they should know what questions to ask. For example, what information do you manage? Where is it transmitted, processed, and stored? How critical is it to the reliability of your processes and your jobs? How competitive is it? Is privacy and confidentiality a requirement? What are your key business assets? What information, people, technologies, equipment, and facilities are critical to your operations? And are those assets adequately protected? What connections do you have? How are people and other systems connecting to you? How are you connecting to your customers? And how do those connections expose you to threats? Are you identifying and addressing your risks? If so, how are those risks being evaluated and communicated? And are you prepared to mitigate your risks? Which risks are most important? How do you monitor the effectiveness of your internal controls? And how will you know when your risks change? And what about third parties? What risks are introduced each time you engage with a third party and grant them access to your critical assets? Are you a third party? How do your risks impact your customers? Now, while this list isn't comprehensive, it is representative of the types of questions that your leadership should be asking. Why? Well, because cybersecurity risk is business risk. Now I'd like to leave you with one more concept to consider. Good cybersecurity practices address three important areas: people, processes, and technologies. People, processes, and technologies. And an effective cybersecurity management system will include a balanced set of controls in each of these areas. And while all three areas are critically important, far too many headlines result from failures in our people controls. As Bruce Sneer, a noted security expert, likes to say, amateurs hack systems, professionals hack people. Amateurs hack systems, but professionals hack people. Why hack a system to get a password when you can simply call someone and ask for it? It's this type of weakness that underlies social engineering and hacking techniques such as phishing. So, if you are concerned about your cybersecurity risk, but don't know what to do about it, start looking at your people practices. For example, are your IT employees or service providers adequately prepared to address your cybersecurity needs? How are they staying current with best practices? Is cybersecurity training a component of their professional development? And what about training? Do you have cybersecurity awareness and training programs? Are they mandatory? Do your employees know how to create and handle strong passwords? Do they understand the need for things like clean desk policies? And can they identify and respond appropriately to common social engineering attacks such as phishing and business email compromise? Is cybersecurity an element of your HR practices? Do your employment agreements address the handling of competitive, private, and confidential information? Do you reevaluate access rights when employees change roles or positions? And what about terminations? Does your process for terminating employees include steps that address and reinforce your expectations, and perhaps more importantly, the employee's obligations? And again, how do you handle third parties? What risks are introduced each time you engage with the third party and grant them access to your critical assets? Are your third parties aware of your cybersecurity requirements? And are those requirements adequately addressed in your contracts? And how are you assuring that your third-party providers are complying with your cybersecurity requirements? And as we mentioned earlier, are you a third party? And if so, do you understand your customers' cybersecurity requirements? And again, this isn't intended to be a comprehensive list, but I do think it's representative of the types of questions that you and your leadership could be asking about your people practices. Why? Well, once again, because cybersecurity risk is business risk. And if you don't have experience with cybersecurity risk, these issues can seem a little bit daunting at first, but please know that help is available. And please don't hesitate to reach out to Eric, Carrie, or myself if you have any questions. And with that, I'll turn it back to Emily so we can wrap up.
Thank you, Eric, Carrie, and Brian for presenting today. If you have any questions for our speakers, please feel free to get in touch with them via the contact information on the screen. We also hope you'll visit aghlc.com throughout the year to look at all of our helpful business resources, as well as aghuniversity.com to view our current listing of free webinars. Thanks again for listening in, and have a great day.